first thing you need to make sure you do is make sure you are aware and are happy with the definitions and the wording of the parts of a circle. It's what I'm going to use and it's what you should be using to describe the parts of the circle, especially in the exam, because they will only accept it if you are using the correct terminology. For the first rule, if you draw the radius and then another one, and then join these to a point on the circumference to create an arrow inside your circle, we are interested in the angle at the centre and the angle at the circumference, the blue one. Now the rule is that the angle at the circumference is half the angle at the centre, or the angle at the centre is double the angle at the circumference. So I'm going to go through 3 examples with you. The first one, we've got the angle at the centre, so the angle at the circumference is just going to be half of it, so it's 60 degrees. The one on the right, they've given you the angle at the circumference, so double it and you'll get the angle at the centre. This one's a little bit different because you've been given the reflex angle, so we need to use our angle fact rules that angles at a point add up to 360. Take that away and we get that this angle then is 100 degrees. We can then use that because we know the angle at the centre and half it to get us the angle at the circumference, which is 50 degrees. Okay, pause the video and have a go at these 3 questions. When you press play again, I'll go through how to do all of them. First example, you know that the angle at the centre is 84, so if we divide that by 2, we're going to get the angle at the circumference, which is 42 degrees. Second one, exactly the same, so 94 divided by 2, we get the angle at the circumference, 47 degrees. Slightly different, we've got a triangle which is formed with 2 radii, so we know it's an isosceles triangle. So this angle here is also 11 degrees. You can use your angle fact rules of triangles to know that angles in a triangle add up to 180. So 11 add 11 is 22. Subtract that from 180 and it will give you the angle at the centre, which is 158 degrees. We can use that then to find the angle at the circumference because we know it is just half of that. So we take the 158, divide it by 2, and that will give us 79 degrees. The second rule is angles in the same segment are equal. So if we start at the circumference and we draw from one side to the other, making sure that the points start at the same point, the 2 angles opposite will be the same. So again, make sure that these points are together, the lines cannot be separate. We could also add another 2 lines and that angle would also be the same. Okay, first example, if we're trying to find the angle A, we don't really have to do anything, we just have to see that it's the same as the one the other side, so it's 28 degrees. The same with B, 17 degrees. This one, we need to use our angle rules, that angles on a straight line add up to 180. So this blue angle here is going to be 105 degrees. Then use the fact that angles in a triangle add up to 180. So 105 add 32 gives us 137 degrees. Subtract that from 180 to find that angle D. So we have the angle D is 43 degrees, and then angle C is exactly the same, so it's also 43 degrees. The next one, Because we've got the lines there, it tells us it's an isosceles triangle. So these two red angles are the same. So we can subtract 84 from 180 to give us 96 degrees. And if we divide that by 2, that'll give us both of those red angles there. So we've got each one is 48 degrees. Once we know that, we can use the rule that angles in the same segment are equal, so that one is E is also 48 degrees. Okay, final rule for this video. If you draw the diameter, so go from one side of the circumference to the other through the centre, okay, first question. We've got the diameter and a triangle then created. So we know that this angle here is 90 degrees. So to find A, it's just angles in a triangle. So 90 plus 38 gives us 128 degrees. 180 degrees, subtract 128, gives us 52 degrees. Pretty much exactly the same for this one, so we also know that this angle is 90 degrees, so 90 plus 32 gives us 122 degrees. Subtract that from 180, and you get 58 degrees. Now sometimes you have to ignore extra lines if they're not useful, or ignore them for the time being. So we know that that blue angle there is 90 degrees, so I'm going to use that those two angles together are 90 degrees. If I subtract 21 from it, I get just the yellow part, so just that yellow section there is 69 degrees. Now the triangle is an isosceles triangle, so I also know that B is 69 degrees because it is isosceles. Okay, so we're starting to get to exam questions now that they might incorporate a few of the rules. So the first one, we've got angles in the same segment are equal, so A is 35, and then the rule that angles at the centre are double the circumference, so we know that B is double 35, so it's 70. The second one, we've got an isosceles triangle, so we know that the other angle is 25. Use our angle fact rules of triangles. So 25 add 25 gives us 50. 180 subtract 50 gives us 130, so that angle A is 130 degrees. And then we know that the angle at the centre is double the angle at the circumference, so if we half 130 we'll get angle B, which is 65 degrees. Okay, so what I'd like you to do, there are green questions, yellow questions and red questions. Work your way through them, and then the answers are right at the end of the video. I just want you to self-mark them. If you have any problems at all, or you can't see how the answer can possibly be that one, if you just take a picture of your work-ins and send that to me, or just give me a message and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can.